Well, hi folks, it's Cliff here, a toolmaker from Down Under. Here I am crouched down beside Threadexpress, which is back up and running again. In this video I'm going to go through part manufacturing procedure. If you establish the correct procedure, you can make parts much more quickly and easily. And I'll be doing a machining operation in a lathe and using this little attachment, Threadexpress, to machine the thread and the little grooved knurl on the head of this part. If you're unfamiliar with what Threadexpress is, I'll run a little short clip now just demonstrating it briefly, but for the full understanding of what Threadexpress is, please look back at previous videos. There's a whole series of videos on Threadexpress, but I won't go into that in great detail in this brief introduction. So just lift it into place, not too heavy, slip the stud in, turn the turret round, So in this video I won't go into all the fine details and tips and tricks, but rather make it a short video just establishing some key stages in part making procedure. I haven't made the part yet, so let's start from the beginning. Just put a piece of paper on a clipboard, and if it's a small part, maybe draw it about twice full size. Start with the center line. Draw your part, pretty basic, but it's important to go through a certain procedure. Okay, so we want a spigot on the end, we want a threaded portion, we want a shoulder, something like that, and we want a knurled head. Something like that. So lay it all down sort of diagrammatically, big enough so that you can read it while you're machining. Now what I would say is use the end of the part for Z0, that's your main dimension. This is your piece of stock here. So draw that longer than it needs to be. Put in your parting groove here and draw it partially parted off. Okay, I'm just checking that this is coming out okay. Okay, now draw a whole lot of lines based off that Z0. And dimension lines. And diameters. And then just write in your numbers. Well, I want this to be radiused as a lead-in and a tapping size is 3.3, so let's make that 3.2. Just sort of construct it with the constraints that you know of. Let the part design itself rather than try and use your imagination. Okay, so the next part is going to be the thread, 4mm thread, so that's about a 3.9 OD. Then we want a shoulder and a head. Well, we've got a piece of stock here, it's 11 diameter, so let's make the head diameter 11 diameter high tensile. So maybe a bit smaller to allow for the grooves in here, so let's go 8mm for here. So we need a length there that's going to go through the sheet metal and act as a guide, maybe 4mm, a thread length, maybe 5mm, so that becomes 9 to there. So all our dimensions are based off the end. Standoff height of say 4mm, so then that becomes 13, and finally a head knurled knob part, say 4 millimeters. So that becomes finally 17 millimeters long. So you've constructed it using the center line for diameters and the end of Z0. So with 17 millimeters. Now that took how long? A couple of minutes. Now we have a drawing of this part, and we can stick it on a nail by our lathe and machine it out really quickly and easily with two tools, a turning tool and a parting tool, using digital readout. So we've got a bit of stock in the chuck. We've got a general purpose carbide turning tool. We've faced the end off and taken a skim on the diameter, measured the diameter and set them both on the digital readout. Z0 for the end and the diameter at 11.04. We've got our part drawing clipped there beside the digital readout, and we're all ready to skim it out. I probably use coolant normally, but it'll mess with the filming, so I'll try dry machining it, and shouldn't be too much of a problem. So I've set it so you can see the digital readout and the part being machined. So the first diameter is 8 diameter by 13 long. The next diameter is 3.9 by 9 long. And finally 3.2 by 4 long. So as quick as that, using that method of machining like a CNC lathe, the part is machined. I'm going to do a little bit of radiusing of the corner and put in the parting tool now, and then we're ready to go and do the thread milling and knurling. And finally, tool number 2, we set a different set of tool offsets on the digital readout to 0 on the end, index in the distance, which is the 17 plus the thickness of the tool, which is 19, and just part inner ways. So in this video I'm not trying to give you all the little details and tips and tricks. I'm just trying to do a very brief overview showing the procedure in very simplified terms. So first off, produce the drawing based on the end as Z0, and then machine with tool 1 and tool 2 to the coordinates, much as you would on a CNC. A quick way to make a part that's pretty fail safe, and there's a lot less likelihood of making a mistake. For most external thread cutting, I tend to use little shop-made fly cutters. So grind them out with a little diamond offhand grinding wheel or a D-bit grinder, just out of old, for example, 5mm carbide end mills mounted in the fly cutter holder, and sharpen them and lap them into final shape with a diamond lap. The lap set on the angle there and there. Check them with a little gauge. Put a tiny little flat on the tip corresponding with the pitch and the size of thread. I'm not going to go into this in great detail here because this is just overview, but I've got a specific video on cutters for thread milling. Now I'm going to set the attachment over at the helix angle. So for a 4mm thread, it's 0.7 pitch, that's 3 degrees 36 minutes. Well, it doesn't have to be exactly right, but if I zero this little digital box over and set it at approximately 3.3 degrees. This is to ensure that the trajectory of the cutter stays in the valley of the thread, and then I can tighten up the angle there and there. I know a few people argue whether this is really needed. Obviously with 3-axis thread milling and a CNC mill, they don't have the ability to set the helix angle, and there's a lot of argument over this subject. But if you look at high-end threading setups, single point threading, high-end tools have helix angle adjustment via shims under the tools. High-end thread grinding has helix angle adjustments of the grinding wheel, and if you want to do accurate threading, you do need to set the helix angle of the part so that the cutter stays within the valley of the thread. Otherwise it side swipes the sides of the flank of the thread and gives you thread profile errors. Now this varies depending on the helix of the thread, the diameter of the thread, and the diameter of the cutter. And in some cases it's a very small amount that you can disregard, and in other cases it's quite a larger amount that affects the profile of the thread quite badly. That's using all 12 grooves of the index plate. That's 12 divisions at 30 degrees. And finally, part off. Well, that's one tiny little part. Ideal for thread milling. It's in high tensile steel, so that would be very difficult to cut with a die. Chances are it would munt the end of the thread. Single point threading would be very difficult on a lathe with such a short thread coming up against the shoulder. So it suits thread milling in a CNC mill, thread milling in a lathe, or thread milling as you've just seen. I think it would be quite fun to develop a little miniature Threadexpress, maybe half size, because the existing one cuts quite big threads, and there may be situations for instrument makers and small shop hobbyists that just want to do small work, and they could have a small, lighter, cheaper, more compact machine about half the size. So that could be another project for me. I think it really helps to develop your machining skills if you use a strict procedure. You establish certain procedures, you know, give the part a name, cover retaining knob, have a fully spec'd sketch with all the dimensions that you need, the depth of thread and so on. And you're just sort of slowly teaching your brain to think in an established procedural way, so that when you get to more difficult parts, you're already halfway there. You have the habits and the thought processes already in place, and you can concentrate on the difficult aspects of it more freely. Threadexpress with one cover retaining knob now in place. And I think I heard Jan banging on the floor. It's coffee time. Well, thanks for watching that video right through to the end. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. It really helps to motivate me when I get feedback from other people around the world. Keeps me going on this project and producing videos. Are you aware that Mark Presling is building a Threadexpress in Australia? Jump across to his channel And please take the time to like and subscribe, or consider subscribing if you're not already. That will help to promote this invention as well and increase the likelihood of getting plans out available for people who want to do their own build. Catch you next time. Stay tuned.